أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We seek refuge in Allah from the accursed shaitan. We begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. This is your humble orator Muhammad Israel, picking up from page number 76 in the legendary military ideology of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Furthermore, Az-Zubayr, who was one of the main figures in the battle, explains to us more about the reality of the matter. Open quote, "This is the fitna that we were told about," end quote. His freed slave said to him, "Are you calling it fitna when you are fighting in it?" Az-Zubayr said, "Woe to you, sometimes we see clearly and sometimes we do not see clearly. There was no matter in which I was uncertain where I stood except this matter, for I do not know whether I should go ahead or give up." Talha radiallahu, end quote. Talha radiallahu anhu also referred to that same term when he said, "We used to be one against others, but now we are like two mountains of iron, each seeking out the other," end quote. On the other hand, the companions of Ali radiallahu anhu also confirmed that there was fitna. Ammar ibn Yasir radiallahu anhu said in Kufa regarding Aisha coming out on the campaign, open quote, "By Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, she is the wife of your Prophet in this world and in the hereafter. But Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, may He be pleased and exalted, is testing you by means of her." 1.6.2, the first round of the Battle of the Camel. The Saba'is intensified their efforts to stir up fighting, attacking the other side and inciting each side against the other. A tough battle broke out, which was the Battle of the Camel. It is called that because the mother of the believers, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, was in the midst of the army of Basra during the second round, riding a camel that had been given to her in Mecca by Ya'la ibn Umayyah, who had brought it from Yemen. She set out on this camel from Mecca to Basra, then she rode it during the battle. The battle took place on 16th Friday, Jumada Thaniya, 36 years after the Hijriya, in an area called Az-Zabuqa near Basra. Ali radiallahu anhu was upset about what had happened, and his caller called out, "Stop fighting, O people!" But no one listened. Everyone was busy fighting his opponent. There were two rounds in the Battle of the Camel. In the first round, the two commanders of the army of Basra were Talha and Az-Zubayr, and this round lasted from dawn until just before noon. Ali radiallahu anhu called out to his army as Talha and Zubayr called out to theirs. "Do not kill anyone," open quote, "do not kill anyone who wants to flee. Do not finish off anyone who is wounded, and do not chase anyone who is leaving the battlefield and giving up the fight," end quote. As Zubayr radiallahu anhu asked his son Abdullah to pay off his debts and said, open quote, "No one is killed today except the wrongdoer or one who is wronged, and I think that I will be killed wrongfully. What I am most worried about is my debt," end quote. At that point, a man came to Az-Zubayr and offered to kill Ali radiallahu anhu by infiltrating his army and then killing him. Az-Zubayr radiallahu anhu objected strongly to that and said, open quote, no believer should kill a believer, for faith protects a believer from killing," end quote. Az-Zubayr had not desired to kill Ali or anyone else who was innocent of the murder of Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu. Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu called Az-Zubayr and spoke to him kindly and gently. It was said that he reminded him of the hadith that he had heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who had told Az-Zubayr, open quote, "You are going to fight him meaning Ali unlawfully, end quote. This hadith has no sound chain of narration, though. Some reports explain that the reason why Az-Zubayr left was, or why Az-Zubayr left just before the battle was because he realized that Ammar ibn Yasir radiallahu anhu was on the other side. Even though he did not narrate from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam the hadith which he says, open quote, Ammar will be killed by the group that is in the wrong, end quote. He may have heard it from other companions because it was very well known. Some reports give as the reason for his leaving, or some reports give such as the reason for his leaving, his doubt as to whether his stance towards this turmoil or fitna, as he called it, was correct. Accordingly, according to another report that suggests his reason for leaving, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu reminded him of his blood ties with Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu by saying, open quote, how would Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib feel if you fought Ali ibn Abi Talib ibn Abdul Muttalib with your sword, end quote. Whatever the reasons, Az-Zubayr left the battlefield and was met by Ibn Jarmuz, who killed him, as we shall see in details later on. Az-Zubayr radiallahu anhu was aware of his goal, which was to set things straight, but when he saw that fighting had broken out, instead of peace he left and did not fight. The words of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu says, will you fight Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu with your sword, imply an unspoken question, or have you come to set things straight and bring unity? As a result of this conversation, Az-Zubayr left the battlefield and departed. Perhaps numerous interconnected factors played a role in his decision to, abandon the battlefield. As for Talha ibn Ubaidullah, Az-Zubayr's second in command of the army of Basra, he was wounded at the beginning of the battle when he was struck by the stray arrow. It is well known who shot it, but it was a direct hit and caused him to bleed heavily. His soldiers said to him, O Abu Muhammad, you are wounded. Go in among their houses so that you can be treated. Talha said to his slave, carry me and look for a suitable place for me. He entered Basra and was placed in a house there to be treated, but his wounds continued to bleed until he died in that house. Then he was buried in Basra. As for the report indicating that Az-Zubayr and Talha, may Allah Jalla Jalaluhu be pleased with both of them, urged the people to carry on fighting, and that Az-Zubayr only left the battlefield when he saw that the people of Basra were going to be defeated, this report is not sound. It is contradicted by that which is proven on the dignity and sound character of the companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is also contrary to the sound reports stating that the army of the Camel only went out to set things straight and bring about reconciliation. How could this alleged acting of Az-Zubayr be in harmony with the aim for which he left Mecca and went to Basra, namely to set things straight among the people? In fact, the attitude of Az-Zubayr radiallahu anhu was one of the keenness to set things straight up to the very last moment. Al-Hakim, through Abu Harb ibn Abil Aswad ad-Du'ali, narrated that Az-Zubayr radiallahu anhu strove to bring about reconciliation between these sides, but when the battle began and chaos prevailed, Az-Zubayr left the battlefield, as did Talha. He had come to set things straight, not to shed blood. With regard to the killing of Talha ibn Ubaidullah, that occurred at the beginning of the battle, as was clearly stated by Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais. Inshallah, we will end this one here on page number 79. in the paragraph, the second paragraph. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسم ربك تعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.